The Hodge Pack. Settle in right now. It is time for the Hodge Pack. Sports, life, and everything in between with Josh, Misty, and Hodge. Going live. 3, 2, 1.
Good morning and welcome to the Hodge Pack, sports, life, and everything in between right here on your Friday morning. Memorial Day weekend, school is out. Teachers got one more box to check off today, and then they will be out for summer. Hodge, Josh here in the house. Misty taking a little time off today. She'll be back. Actually, she's going to celebrate somebody's getting older than me, so congratulations to that person. But we're glad that you're with us. We don't think anybody's going to get arrested in the 2 hours that we have our show today, Josh, but it's football. I said football is happening on the field now with some OTAs, but we are a jam-packed sports calendar. You need about 45 TVs, which you can find at Mulligan's or Potosi Live, because there is a lot of sports going on.
There is a lot of sports going on. The Big 12 baseball tournament's happening right now. That was one of the things that was popping up on my screen last night as I was flipping through the suggestions for me to watch. I watched a little bit of the Stars, but then it was, they came back and tied it, which is great. But then I was like, it's way too late. I got to go to bed.
It was late, and what helped me be available for that was last night that the Abilene Flying Bison, singular but plural, all in one, kicked off their baseball season last night with a big win, 15-3 over the Piney Woods Timberhogs. Last night, I was at Walt Driggers Field on the campus of McMurray University and got to witness the first game of the Abilene Bison, and they won 15-3. Josh, it was a great crowd last night. The stands were packed. All those tickets were sold and accounted for, and then there was a number of general admission down the foul lines, and they started down 2-0. And next thing you know, big runs, big innings in the beginning of Abilene Bison baseball, 15-3. It was good to see the crowds there last night, and congratulations to the Bison and Riley Hood, Wiley kid, had a great game last night. And so it was a lot of fun and a great turnout for opening night for the Bison.
Well, that's good. That's good. It's something that I had too much on my calendar and didn't plan well enough to make it, even though originally I said, I'm going to go to that opening game, but then I neglected to. But I'm glad that it went well, and I also like football scores and baseball games.
It is good. They had, like I said, they were down 2-0 early on and got rolling and just had a huge last couple of innings to make it a 15-3 game. And really shout out to Abilene and to the Flying Bison. Josh, there was a lot going on last night. Randy Travis and the tribute band of some sort was at the Paramount, so that's going to take you a group of people because people are curious, is Randy Travis actually there? What's he going to sing? What's he going to do? Because he's got a new song out. I've heard that AI helped it. I'm still confused on that. But you had that going on last night. Of course, Jack Creek Band was out at Potosi Live last night. You had the Abilene Flying Bison. You had City Championship going on in Little League last night. And, of course, it's the last week of school and people getting ready for graduation tonight. And so it was a good turnout last night. So, again, leading off our Lawrence Hall headline report are the Abilene Flying Bison are 15-3. Josh, I'll tell you one thing that was interesting. They brought the ball was brought in with a helicopter. So Hendrick helicopter came and was spinning around, landed in center field, and Bomber, the Bison mascot, went and got the ball, and they threw out the first pitch. Scott Kirk threw it. I think it was a strike if Bob Euchre was the umpire, or at least not the umpire, but play-by-play guy. So it was good. They had the organ. They had all the activities for the kids, different games on the field. So good minor league atmosphere. And, again, shout out to McMurray for letting them do that or hosting them. I'm sure there's some type of partnership there. And so here's the interesting thing, though. Jacksboro and Shallowater had a playoff game like at 1 o'clock. And was running up against that clock. And I think even 2 games. I think they went back-to-back, had 2 games. And so literally the high school baseball ended and literally had to change the set for the Abilene Flying Bison. So congratulations to them. Again, 15-3 winners last night. A couple things I want to talk about. Again, you mentioned, Josh, that the baseball, or not baseball, but the Stars playing last night, unfortunately lose in double overtime, 3-2 to the Edmonton Oilers. Again, it ended well after 11 o'clock last night, but the Stars down 1-0 now in that series. In the NBA, the Celtics win 126-110 to take a 2-0 lead in that series. The Pacers had a chance to win the other night and literally let it slip away. They did the reversal Reggie Miller. Instead of winning with very few seconds left, they lost. And so it looks like the Celtics are going to walk right into the Western Conference Finals. The Mavs won game 1 the other night. They'll try to win game 2 tonight to take a 2-0 lead to head to Dallas for that. And so that happened last night, or this past week. A couple other things, Josh. The Colonial, we mentioned it. We'll talk a little bit about me getting to go to the Colonial because the Junior Achievement Golf Tournament, we had an experience. Appreciate Misty posting those stuff on Facebook and the kind words and not so kind words we got from heckling. It was something that I wonder if that's how, when you go to interview at Dick's Last Resort, if that's like part of the interview questions.
Well, I mean, they'd have to know if you had the ability to pull off some of that stuff, which you and Misty did well with that. So, yes, I mean, it's very interesting to be put in a situation where you just get to make fun of people and they have to sit there and take it
and pay you to do so.
Yes, so
it was a lot of fun.
It.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We'll talk. Josh got to have a different experience that involved ibuprofen and a few other things. But again, so speaking of golf, getting to go to the Colonial tomorrow. The Colonial is happening just down the road. Charlie Hoffman winning 5 under, leading after 1. Brian Harmon, Open champions, 4 under, and Tom Kim, whom I'm hoping makes the cut so I can see my buddy Paul Tesori tomorrow. Josh, Scotty Scheffler had a rough day yesterday. He's 2 over, but also found out that his arraignment has been pushed to June 3rd. Josh, we were a week past since we had the breaking news on the show last week. Charges aren't going to be dropped as of now, which sounds like it's a bad idea for Louisville police department. The officer that has been involved is not the first time he's been written up. A lot of interesting things have happened in that story since Scotty Scheffler was arrested last week.
Well, yes, the officer's record being released is just funny. You know, he's got a somewhat checkered record, I guess.
He's got as many major wins on his record that are not majors as Scotty Scheffler. And apparently he was in the movie Superbad.
Yes, or the inspiration for the movie, I don't know.
But doing donuts with somebody you arrested.
A drunk in your car, running lights and sirens. That's just funny. I mean, I guess it goes to his decision-making skills. I don't know. But it's also just maybe too convenient that his body cam wasn't on.
Yeah, I
mean, if that's your job every day and you got to turn that on, does he either habitually not turn his body cam on, or did that? Yeah,
I would think if that. To me, I'm not saying it's like making sure your gun is loaded, but if that is your procedure, if that is how you know you operate, or if nothing else, if my body cam's on when I go to arrest this guy that everybody thinks I'm not supposed to, and I prove, air quote here in radio for those that are watching on Facebook Live, you can see that. And that's how I avoid getting in trouble. I'm going to make sure I turn that on.
Well, right, because I mean, that's ultimately why you have the body cam, so that if there is some sort of discrepancy moving forward, you can justify your actions. But you would say that's why people might turn it off, because they know they're going to do something that's not justified.
And if you think about it, in today's time, and this as well I do, Josh, we've seen it over the last few years, cops in our law enforcement do a great job. And there's a lot that do a great job in the right way, but to protect themselves, they've got to do those things.
Right.
Because if not, the punishment, the lawsuit, the loss of job, all those things that can happen to you if you don't execute those procedures right can really bite you in the butt.
Right. Because, I mean, they're there like primarily for the protection of the police officer and to give them, I guess, incentive to make sure that they're above board, like that, you don't let the moment get the best of you, I guess. Not there, all of those situations, and however that played out with him thinking that Scheffler was trying to run him over. And I haven't read anything that actually like explains that. Have you?
No. There was some new footage of some cameras from far away, which I think are terrible footage. You can see where the cop is talking to Scotty, very fuzzy. But they're just not great camera. Then the other one they show is that they've already got him arrested in handcuffs. So anyway, that story is not ending, and hopefully I'd like to see Scotty find a way to make the cut today as well, but they'll be teeing off soon. Scotty, Jordan, and Tom Kim all have early tee times. A couple other things I want to mention. Holly advances to the regional final in high school baseball. They await either fellow district representative Stanford or New Home. They'll play for the regional final there. And then Hermley, of course, we mentioned the monument went up last week as they were getting ready for graduation, all that. And they take down Borden County last night in game 1, 7-6. And so they'll play tonight at 5:00 for a chance to go back to the state tournament for Hermley. One other thing, don't forget, in the next hour, the schedule release. We had so much going on with Scotty Scheffler last week, we didn't really get to talk about the Dallas Cowboys schedule. It was released along with the other NFL schedules last week. We're going to have in the second hour a man that took a napkin and turned into what you now know as Potosi Live will be joining us in the second hour. Chris Randolph, again, just done a great job in so many endeavors. And so we look forward to talking to Chris in his tailgate and all the things that you can have an opportunity to be a part of with that Dallas Cowboys schedule out. So Chris will be joining us in the 8:00 hour live here in our Potosi Live studio. And again, that's our Lawrence Hall headline report. Lots going on, lots to cover. The Texas Rangers are up and down, struggling. We do have a social media question out there. Is there a more overreacting group of people than sports fans? I've got a couple that might fight against that, but we will talk more about that throughout the show, and we'll read your answers on the air. So when we come back, again, Lawrence Hall headline report. Memorial Day weekend, sure, so there's some deals. Go get you a new car, truck, or SUV, and the folks at Lawrence Hall will take care of you. When we come back, the Texas Rangers struggling a little bit. Some are hot, but the record is not. We'll be back right after this.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain Cold Refreshment made to chill. 2020 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Have you enjoyed the Potosi Live experience yet? If not, you're missing one of the best atmospheres around. With amazing food, great drinks, live music, TVs to watch your favorite sporting events. The Potosi Live team will make sure you have an experience that you're going to tell your friends about. Check out PotosiLive.com or go like them at Potosi Live on Facebook for their upcoming live music and ticket events. Head out to Potosi at 897 FM 1750 for the Potosi Live experience.
When it comes to finding the right vehicle for you, there's no better place than Lawrence Hall in Abilene. For over 34 years, Lawrence Hall in Abilene has been the place to find the best from Chevrolet, Buick, and GMC. And that is still true today. Great products and great service, too. So the next time you need a new car, truck, or SUV, come see us or shop 24/7 at LawrenceHallAbileneOnline.com. Voted Abilene's best new car dealer for over 28 years by you, our customers.
Being there, every minute, year after year. As your Touchstone Energy Cooperative, it's not just our way of doing business, it's our way of life. Providing the energy our community relies on every day. And as a Touchstone Energy Cooperative member, that means value that goes far beyond the energy we provide. It's value you can't really put a price on.
You are the most important part of Big Country Electric Cooperative. Call, stop by our offices in Roby, Snyder, and Stanford, or visit online at bigcountry.coop.
Hi, I'm Sharon Riley. Here in Abilene, folks have lots of options for eating out, from large chains to locally owned mom and pops like us. I want you to know we really appreciate your business and are always striving for wonderful food, service, and prices. So we listen to you and have updated our menu, bringing back old favorites like nachos and fajitas and adding more small plates for the light appetites. So come see us. I want to hear you say, yum, yum.
Hello, Abilene and the Big Country. My name is John Keaty. I am a resident at Disability Resources Incorporated. I'm here to tell you about our document destruction and paper shredding business. Our services include routine pickups, purges, or we accept drop-offs at our state-of-the-art, safe, and secure facility. We are the DRI Shredders, and we are here to assist and serve you in the destruction of your most private documents or any of those annoying boxes that have stacked up over the years. Give us a call at 325-232-6918. Come on out and see us at 3602 North Clack Street. You'll be glad you did.
The time has changed and it's time to hit the range at Mulligan Sports Bar, Grill, and Golf. Come relax on the patio, hit golf balls on the driving range, play 18 holes, and go enjoy a delicious meal, cold drinks with friends. Head to 1166 Ben Ritchie Drive, Mulligan Sports Bar, Grill, and Golf. You'll be glad you did.
Tammy, are you crying? There's no crying. There's no crying in mortgages. Buying a home should not make you cry. You deserve a team of mortgage experts who have your best interest at heart. Visit ColemanBank.com and let us help you make your next move. If you are looking for a mortgage team in a league of their own, Coleman County State Bank is the place for you.
Equal housing lender. Member FDIC.
Ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, ball 4. Bases loaded. The Hodge Pack, always clearing the bases. Right here on 106.9, The Country Giant.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack, Sports Life and everything in between. It's time for our First Bank and Trust Texas Ranger Report. The Texas Rangers have done what Bruce Bochy's not used to, and I'm not talking about wearing flip-flops in the shower. I'm talking about being below 500. The Rangers are a bit of a struggle bus right now, but they've got some Corey Seager, and I saw you mentioned Josh at Seager playing a little bit better, and I saw where Josh Young is starting to maybe possibly see the light at the end of that injured list tunnel. But again, the good thing, couple things wanted to mention: the Abilene Flying Bison win last night 15-3, and shout out to the DRI Handbell Choir for playing the national anthem. They were rocking the bells last night at Walt Driggers Field. So again, congratulations to the Bison, and shout out to some of the DRI shredders. Not only can they shred paper and shred all the things that you need to get rid of, they can rock it on the DRI bells or the handbells. So they did a good job last night, Josh. But we have the injured list seems like it's become the vacation spot for the Texas Rangers a little too often, and that elevator is on. Let me rephrase it. It's not an elevator. It's like the clown car that you see at the circus. It is pretty packed. But the Texas Rangers, again, First Bank and Trust, Texas Ranger Report brought to you by First Bank and Trust, right across the street from Abilene Country Club. Give them a call. Go see them for all your banking needs. But Josh, Texas Rangers, right now, the Bisons are on a bigger winning streak than the Rangers.
Yes, they are. The Rangers are. Well, I mean, it's tough to go to Philadelphia. In general, Philadelphia is also the best team in baseball right now. Great pitching, great hitting. Texas kind of ran into a buzzsaw there with the combination of not being in a good place and then going to play the hottest team in baseball. So lost 3 in a row there.
Didn't take advantage of playing the worst team in baseball either.
No. It's been bad. It's been bad. And like you said, there seems to be more people on the injured list than not, and it just keeps piling up. And honestly, the people that have stepped up to fill in the roles of injured players have done admirably. It's not just been solely the case of them just being terrible, but I think there's just it's just not allowed the team to get into a rhythm and play consistently, and it's all caught up to them in the last 2 weeks as they've gone 2-8. The worst combination to that is the Astros have gone 7-3 in that same span. And so they're getting closer in that rearview mirror, which I knew the Astros were too good to play as bad as they did at the first of the year. It's just kind of disappointing that with that terrible start for the Astros, the Rangers have just kind of sputtered through and not been able to make up any ground, and now they're losing ground at a epic clip. So it's been somewhat rough. But like you said, there is light at the end of the tunnel. As far as people coming back from injury and the way that maybe some of these pitchers get back and we have that consistent swing through the rotation. And the biggest thing is, when we talk about that rotation and how many people have been injured on the pitching staff, and it's kind of that downstream effect that's really affected the Rangers because like Jose Urena has done very well. He came from the bullpen to step into a starter's role, has not been the reason that the Rangers have lost as far as him starting the game, but maybe he's been the reason that they've lost because he's not available to pitch in the middle of the game. Because the soft underbelly of the bullpen has become really, really soft, which just that depth has been stretched a little too thin. So we do have the bright spot as far as we roll the schedule from Philadelphia, which has been playing very well, to Minnesota that is not as good. So hopefully we can take advantage of that and win some games this weekend.
Well, and again, the Texas Rangers. The thing about the baseball season and really everything that goes into it, we saw a lot of that last year. With some injury being an issue and getting everybody back. And that's how we knew Evan Carter ended up being the man that he is and all those things. But is the fact that it's so long. And again, don't forget our social media question. Is there an more overreacting group of people than baseball fans or sports fans in general? Of course, we'll answer that a little bit later. Josh, one of the things that we're starting to see, we've seen some BGOs, we've seen some Vladimir Guerrero Juniors, and now we're seeing Bobby Witt Jr. Coming on and becoming a very impactful player that we're starting to see. I mean, we remember Pudge, 19 years old. He's in the league and all this things, this excitement, this 19-year-old. But we're starting to see these younger players become relevant in a shorter period of time after being drafted than I think we've had in a very long time.
There is a kind of a youth movement, I guess, right? And I think that it is kind of cyclical, but you have a changing of the guard where the star players start to age out and those next ones step in, and some of those guys jump on the scene, very early. The Gunnar Henderson with the Orioles is another one that he's just 22 years old and rookie of the year last year, and this year right there with Bobby Witt Jr. in that early MVP conversation. And those guys are looking to kind of be those next guys that step up and are the superstars. That as we've talked about, Mike Trout has been kind of that guy for a while. Ohtani is in that conversation, but he's not old, but he's definitely established and moving in that direction. But these guys are kind of trying to step up into that, and that's one of those things that, I mean, it's fun to watch.
Well, and you think about it. Do you think you see the passing of the torch, and we've seen that in Brady and I guess Peyton and Brady kind of, there's really nobody handed it off. Peyton didn't give it to Brady just because Peyton retired early. But you see that Tom Brady's kind of handed that to Mahomes and Josh Allen and those guys and different faces of the league. And you start to see that now, whether he decides to play another year and play with his son, the LeBron James fuse of his time is starting to fade away, and you're having to see new people like Ant-Man and Luka and these guys where that gets passed. And I just wonder if we're starting to see a possibility. Of course, I think Patrick Mahomes is going to play a lot longer, for a while. But again, there's so much money there. You can retire now and not have to have all that. In that the group of the waiting period, because I think if Anthony Richardson can have a good year this year, the CJ Stroud, you start seeing these teams in the leagues having to continue to do that. I'm not saying the relevance of the NFL is going to go away because there's not going to be stars. There's always going to be stars. But you mentioned Ohtani. Ohtani, to me, there was a time where Mike Trout was the guy.
Right.
And healthy, not healthy, Mike Trout's the guy isn't there anymore. And so now Ohtani, even though he's still relatively, in the grand scheme of things, he's very early in his career, but it's almost like he's already surpassing Trout, and Trout shouldn't be surpassed yet.
Well, but that's just, that is the way that it goes. I mean, those players hit their prime, become superstars, and Trout has moved past that, and some of those guys are. There's still guys that are still around. Bryce Harper was a young phenom
he's a great example.
That he came on and has done well and had a big career. He's getting paid lots of money, and he's primary reason why the Phillies are what they are. He's that bat in the middle of the order, and Aaron Judge is still that with the Yankees. But these young guys are making those plays to kind of be in that conversation, and that's with the Orioles especially. They've got several of them, and Jackson Holliday was called up and did not produce and went back down, and we've got Wyatt Langford kind of in that same. He's injured, so it wasn't just a production thing, but he wasn't setting the world on fire. So maybe we can reset that and have a little bit more of that going on with the Rangers, because there was so much excitement going into the season with Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford being those guys that are going to be that for the Rangers, and Carter, the way that he came onto the scene last year, set that table, maybe had the expectations a little higher than they needed to be. And he's struggled a bit, but not been as dominant as he was at the end of last year and through the playoff run, but we know that potential is there. So that's something to dream on. And with, like I mentioned, Jackson Holliday being sent back to the minors, there are bumps for these guys. It's not just automatic that they come up and are just right into that superstar thing. Bobby Witt had to grow into it for a couple of years there with a bad Royals team, but he allowed them to, being on that bad team allowed them to use him, to get him, to develop him, to be ready to take that next step, which he has. And now the Royals have built around that, brought in some pitching, in the offseason. They've got some other young players that have come along, and so now they're a relevant team after being bad for several years.
Well, and they had that. They won the World Series again. I don't remember how many years ago.
2015.
2015, they win a World Series, but you start to see how the right combination of one or two people can change an organization, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later. Well, one, Caitlin Clark, they're hoping they change that for the fever, and of course she's catching a lot of literally fever from it. And then you've got where we're hoping that Dak could have been that guy, and there's a lot of people, and I know if Greg's listening, Greg's one of those guys that Dak hasn't been that guy that can elevate and change. And now we're in a contract situation, but it's interesting because the Kansas City Royals, who used to be the dumpster fire after you win a World Series and then you're kind of blah, are just a game and a half out of the Indians or the Guardians, and it's just amazing how when you get those right people, and I guess we saw that with the Rangers with Seager and Simeon and even Evan Carter and some of those guys, the difference even Josh Young has made when he's healthy, how important is having the right guy with that little bit of an it factor that can bring some swag and some excitement to your culture and to your organization.
Right. And having those people in place that you can build around, which, the Rangers did it differently, obviously, by going and getting Seager and Simeon and, kind of jump starting that whole process instead of waiting for the young guys all to come through. But it's all built on the process. And they didn't know they're going to have Wyatt Langford at the time because he was drafted after them. But they were all part of that. We've got some young guys in the system that are coming along. At the time, Evan Carter was obviously one that they were planning on, coming in the future. You had Jonah Heim moving in the right direction, and other guys that were in the minor leagues that some have worked out, some have not. The pitching side with Leiter, like Cole Wynn has not worked as well as they thought it would, but they still went out and got other guys to supplement that and then built on it and jumped in hard with trying to get the right guys to be cornerstones to the franchise. And other than DeGrom being injured more than he has not been, it's worked. Those guys are cornerstones to the franchise and allowed them to move quick and develop those guys that they hope to come in and keep them relevant. So the window, that's the thing. The Rangers aren't playing well right now, and we can get down on that. And we, as you've talked in social media, we can be very overreacting. There has been a lot of this season's over, cash it in. Who are we going to trade off from this team to build for the future? Things that I have seen in the X sphere. When you you follow some different Rangers beat writers and stuff like that. Sometimes when you read down the comments a bit, you get some really funny ones. And because the sky is falling and the season is over. But I don't think that it is. I mean, it's a matter of a few things clicking, and you can see this team go on a run where they're 20-10 over a 30-game stretch, and you're right back there. The Mariners aren't playing well, but they're somehow staying ahead of us.
It's not like you're in a division that's just so amazing that you can't claw.
Right.
Out of it.
It's not the Yankees and the Orioles that are going to keep burning and that AL East with those two teams. That would be a tough one to get buried in. And, the Blue Jays have been buried out there and we're not – they had big expectations with their young guys, but you mentioned several of them, and that has not worked out. And they're at a place that because the Yankees and Orioles are playing so well, they might need to start thinking about who they're trading.
Well, and again, before you know it, there will be a trade deadline and that'll start happening. But we are rocking and rolling. When we come back, news that Josh didn't hear about and might have made Caitlin Clark stay. We'll be back right after this.
Miller Lite is the light beer brewed for people who love the taste of beer. For those who are always the first to volunteer for beer runs, who hit up tailgates for sports that they don't even like, and believe having a beer fridge in the garage is non-negotiable. It's a 96-calorie, 3.2
and
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack, sports, life, and everything in between. We are rocking and rolling during our first hour. Again, don't forget, in our second hour, we're going to have Chris Randolph from Potosi Live and VIP Sports to talk a little bit about the Dallas Cowboys schedule that was released last week and some games that you can go attend as part of tailgate and all the things that they've got going on. Of course, some exciting news. They've got Wade Bowen coming in July out at Potosi Live. And, of course, a benefit coming up in June for the folks of Holly. So be sure you can check them out as well. So we'll have Chris in our second hour. But, Josh, we wanted to talk about, we mentioned something that you said you hadn't heard about that happened yesterday, was something that we started to see the new guys being paid and college athletes being played with the NIL. But yesterday, the NCAA made a decision to start paying players where the schools can actually pay. We got a clip. NCAA Power 5 agree to deals that will let schools pay players. And this is from ESPN.com, Dan Murphy and Pete Thamel. The NCAA and its 5 power conferences have agreed to allow schools to directly pay players for the first time in the 100-plus year history of college sports. The NCAA and its league are moving forward with a multi-billion, and that is with a $1 billion agreement to settle 3 pending federal antitrust cases. The NCAA will pay more than $2.7 billion in damages over 10 years to past and current athletes, sources told ESPN, and sources also said that the parties have agreed to a revenue sharing plan allowing each school to share up to roughly $20 million per year with its athletes. This is from Charlie Baker, the NCAA president. The 5 autonomy conferences and the NCAA agreeing to settlement terms is an important step in continuing the reform of college sports that will provide benefits to student athletes and provide clarity in college athletics across all divisions for years to come. Josh, I know this is the first time you're hearing it or talking about it this morning because, again, there was so much sports on last night. It's easy to miss that. But this is something that we thought might be coming a long time ago, and they're feeling so bad about it, they're going back and paying previous athletes.
Well, yes, because it's settlement to an antitrust lawsuit. So they're basically saying that they had a monopoly and were not allowed to compete against it, which I believe is probably true. Although I'm not sure how you'd really set up a competition to have another place to go to college that wasn't NCAA. I guess you could say that already exists, but they're not. I guess for all intents and purposes, NCAA is the only game in town as far as if you want to go play college sports. So they were. I brought a lawsuit that the settlement ended up being part of that will pay players back to 2016. So,
and we remember we saw one of the things that kind of happened in the EA Sports game, which is now about to come back out again for gaming systems. But, EA Sports, and there was a big settlement, and Mike Golick Jr., just always ones I remember him talking about it when he was on Golick and Wingo about, I don't remember how much the check was that they got, but they went back and basically kids were saying, y'all using my name and image and all this. And really name, image, and likeness probably kind of came from was spurred on by that settlement from the video game, because you did have, if you had a quarterback from Texas and he was wearing number 12, you were being Colt McCoy.
Right. And that game specifically, all those teams and those rosters and everything on the every year came through. It didn't have their names on it, but it was their number, and it was their height and weight was what they were listed in the program, and their attributes were skill set on the video game were based on the real player. So that was the so they sued for the use of their image on that, because if you took that same game, the EA Sports College Football was basically the same game as Madden, but just with colleges instead of NFL teams. On the Madden game in the NFL, it would say, Prescott number 4 for the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. And there was an agreement, and they did get paid for it through the Players Association. So it was basically, that was using those players' likeness without any benefit to them. And that's one of those things that I do get that. And there are some things that are going on that I do think benefit the player and are what I think should be the real name, image, and likeness game, but it's gone too far, with the big money donors promising money to people to come to different places, and it being millions of dollars and things like that, where that's not in my opinion, not really where I felt the spirit of it should be, but it's always going to, if there's a loophole, someone's going to use it. But schools forever have been selling jerseys, and you go to any college town, there's a billboard with a player or two on the billboard. All of the promotional material that the schools send out from every school has their players on there. Whereas in any other environment where that was the case, you would be getting paid for that. And in the NCAA, you were not. So you were basically being used in that capacity. But so some of those things that the schools have done, I agree with completely. Like if someone wants to go buy your jersey, like you should be recouping some percentage of that, just like the pro players do. And the pro players have their agreements through their players association. So it's like whatever percentage they get is agreed upon in those contracts, and that's how they move forward. But just yesterday, I did learn that there's sports cards that are starting to be made, like trading cards and stuff like
that for
college players, with teams that choose to participate are making an agreement that all right, you can make our team's card set. It'll cost X, and then that's split between the players that are in that card set. So it's a way that the schools can market their players, get them out there, and for the players to get. I'm sure it's not a big check, but if you're the backup offensive guard, your card's still in the box, so you're still getting a check in the mail.
And one of the things that I wonder, and of course we've talked about this, and with our buddies that are Baylor guys, they always say, well, Simpson or some of these guys need to start ponying up so the NIL money can be there and all that. I just wonder, how does it talks about 20 million, paying out all these billions and up to 20 million, all this stuff to go back to, because it's not just going to be the football player. It's going to be college athletes as a whole, and how they figure that out. And are they eventually going to have collective bargaining agreements? Are they going to end up having a players association of some sort so that where that money is going, and will it keep kids in school longer instead of going to the NCAA and going into the draft, and whether it's whatever league? Because I still think the NBA guys, I've not just seen an impact like we've seen with baseball. We were talking about Bobby Witt Jr. a while ago, that just make this domination impact early on in basketball. You see it at the quarterback level, maybe the receiver level, or a Micah Parsons level in football. But will it keep these kids in school longer? Or is it going to be harder to find that money? If I'm, Fresno State wouldn't count, but if I'm that other smaller SEC school or Baylor, what's that going to be for people like Baylor competing against everybody else in the Big 12, and really not only the Big 12, across the Power 5 conferences?
Well, you're right, because there are schools, and Baylor is a prime example, and in the Big 12, TCU would be in the same boat of, yes, they're universities that put the product on the field as far as like being a Division I program, and they do a pretty good job overall, as far as across all sports and all participations and things like that. But they really don't have just the sheer number of alumni. So just by that itself makes it harder to raise big money for those things. So it puts you at a disadvantage because of that. When you have schools like Texas A&M that have 5, 6, 7 times the amount of students that then graduate and become that alumni base, just year over year over year, there's just a huge gap there. So that creates a discrepancy in certain ways, and so it's. But yes, there has to be a finite amount of money. It can't just go on and on and on forever. And like you see in all the time, there's bubbles that burst. There's market corrections. You've seen that in baseball, which is one of the reasons why you have so many young guys that are getting a chance. Is the market is kind of corrected, that you're like, all right, well, back in the day, you could get a free agent that you'd pay several $1 million a year, and we'd put him at shortstop, and we'd leave Bobby Witt Jr. in the minors and let him develop there. But it's just become where that money becomes so important that like the young guys, because of the collective bargaining agreement, have a cap on what they make. It's set, for your first 7 years. There's the arbitration process, which is directly based on merit, but generally it's you have a lower cost player when they're young. So that has kind of cost some of those older guys jobs because teams have decided, we'd rather bring this guy in and pay him this amount than have to go on the free agent market and pay them 3, 4, 5 times that. So that's a market correction that's happened in baseball. And it will happen in college sports also, as you just get to where, like, we can't afford this, or this isn't working, or really the worst thing, in my opinion, is that it's become revolving door free agency. I'll go get paid more. But that's
exactly what it is. But then you see something like that's happened in the University of Florida, where their quarterback, football recruit, Jaden Rashada, is suing Coach Billy Napier along with a big-time Gator booster and others, claiming they defrauded him out of millions of dollars by backing out of a promised $13.8 million agreement after the quarterback had turned down other offers tied to the program. Now, and of course, he's gone to Georgia. Again, that's from ESPN.com. But you've got players now, if things aren't working out and I'm going to leave, I still want my money. And you've got a guy suing a booster and his former head coach while he's heading to Georgia.
Yeah, because he didn't get the money that he thought he was promised, which, that goes into the whole contract stuff. So when you talk about collective bargaining for the pinnacle top players, that probably would not be what they would want to fight for, because they don't want to necessarily share the wealth. For the move on down the line back end guys, a collective agreement of, like, we're going to pay a school X for the use of their baseball card or football card or whatever card it is, or their image on a video game. It's going to be this much money for the whole thing, and the players association of whatever sort would negotiate that. So I think that has to happen, because if there's not a group negotiation, they'll just be holes, and it would be.
You'll
better
start having kids hold out.
Right. You will have holdouts, and so the whole situation is strange. I do agree that the players should be paid for their name, image, and likeness in the most direct sense. Like, not necessarily paid for playing the sport, because you're already on scholarship and you're already there. But to the other point, it could be better for those people's development to stay in school a little longer. And if they got a little money coming in, there's not as much pressure to have to make the jump to the pros.
It's almost like having all those years in college, or when you go into high school, you're already there. Stay a little bit longer, get your master's, be more marketable. I'll tell you who'll be more marketable is when we come back, those annoying fan bases. We'll be back right after this.
Have you enjoyed the Potosi Live experience yet? If not, you're missing one of the best atmospheres around, with amazing food, great drinks, live music, TVs to watch your favorite sporting events. The Potosi Live team will make sure you have an experience that you're going to tell your friends about. Check out PotosiLive.com or go like them at Potosi Live on Facebook for their upcoming live music and ticket events. Head out to Potosi at 897 FM 1750 for the Potosi Live experience.
At First Bank and Trust, our story started in 1996, and it continues because of you, our customers, our communities, and our neighbors. We are proud to be a small part of your success. But where does your story start? Where do you want to go? Whether starting a business, saving for the future, or launching your ideas to the next level, we want to help you take your first steps towards something big. Call or email one of our bankers today. At First Bank and Trust, we see potential, ideas, innovation, growth everywhere.
Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog, because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain Cold Refreshment made to chill. 2020 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
When it comes to finding the right vehicle for you, there's no better place than Lawrence Hall in Abilene. For over 34 years, Lawrence Hall in Abilene has been the place to find the best from Chevrolet, Buick, and GMC. And that is still true today. Great products and great service, too. So the next time you need a new car, truck, or SUV, come see us or shop 24/7 at LawrenceHallAbileneOnline.com. Voted Abilene's best new car dealer for over 28 years by you, our customers.
Hi, I'm Sharon Riley. Here in Abilene, folks have lots of options for eating out, from large chains to locally owned mom and pops like us. I want you to know we really appreciate your business and are always striving for wonderful food, service, and prices. So we listened to you and have updated our menu, bringing back old favorites like nachos and fajitas and adding more small plates for the light appetites. So come see us. I want to hear you say, yum, yum.
Your laptop, TV, mobile phone, or devices. You might say your Touchstone Energy Cooperative is in the business of keeping you connected to everyone and everything that's essential. Day or night, we're always here, making life easier. Because when all is said and done, of all the connections we make, none are more powerful than the human connection.
You are the most important part of Big Country Electric Cooperative. Call, stop by our offices in Roby, Cider, and Stamford, or visit online at bigcountry.coop.
Hello, Abilene and the Big Country. My name is John Keaty. I am a resident at Disability Resources Incorporated. I'm here to tell you about our document destruction and paper shredding business. Our services include routine pickups, purges, or we accept drop-offs at our state-of-the-art, safe, and secure facility. We are the DRI Shredders, and we are here to assist and serve you in the destruction of your most private documents or any of those annoying boxes that have stacked up over the years. Give us a call at 325-232-6918. Come on out and see us at 3602 North Clack Street. You'll be glad you did.
The time has changed and it's time to hit the range at Mulligan Sports Bar, Grill, and Golf. Come relax on the patio, hit golf balls on the driving range, play 18 holes, and go enjoy a delicious meal, cold drinks with friends. Head to 1166 Ben Ritchie Drive, Mulligan Sports Bar, Grill, and Golf. You'll be glad you did.
Good morning and welcome. We're rocking and rolling. Hour number one of the Hodge Pack, Sports Life and everything in between, brought to you by Lytle Lane and Cattle, where you can go get you a Hodge Pack. Go check out the renovated bar restaurant area. It looks really good. Go check them out this weekend, but we're glad that you're with us. Don't forget, in the next hour, we will have around 8:30 Chris Randolph from Potosi Live and VIP Sports. He'll be coming in talking about the Dallas Cowboy football schedules released. A lot of opportunities to catch some home games. Some good teams coming to town, including the Baltimore Ravens and, of course, Diggs versus Diggs, as the Houston Texans will be coming to AT&T later on in the year. So be sure you check us out. Don't forget to head over to HodgePackSports.com, new website up and rolling. And of course, we encourage you to download, subscribe, rate, and review if you download our podcast, where you can go back and listen to all the fun, exciting things, past interviews and all the things. But now we are going to continue, even though Misty's out, we are going to continue with Mulligan's Bag.
Coming up next.
In the world is in that bag. What you got in that bag?
All right. Good morning. We are talking Mulligan's Bash. Be sure you check out. They have added Ashley Cook to the headline with Scotty McCurry on September 14th. You can head out to Mulligan's Abilene. Check them out. Get your tickets. Probably some sponsorship still available. Again, September 14th, Mulligan's Bash. Scotty, Ashley, and others. You'll want to be there for that great fall night. You will not want to miss that. Josh, we want to continue with the bag, even though Misty is out today, with this question. And it's not as we've noticed, and I've watched, and of course right now, Josh, with the Dallas Cowboys, again, we'll talk about them more in the 8 o'clock hour. We've got a quarterback not signed. We've got a wide receiver not signed. We've got the best defensive player possibly in the NFL wanting signed and haven't been signed yet. But sports fans are probably some of the most overreacting group of people out there. And so, Josh, I asked you this question. Why, and are there other most overreacting sports or most overreacting group of people out there? And we've got a couple to read on the air that answered our question as well. But do you think, is there anybody fighting for sports fans? Because we talked about the Rangers, because we throw in the towel. There's 162 games, but we're already done, moving on to something else. Sports fans are right up there.
Oh, they definitely are. Now, I think there's other groups that typically rival them, but sports in of itself just allows you to be very reactionary and like to just extreme like irrational levels. So there are other groups that I think can give it a run, and I want to see what some listeners said before I throw in some of my ideas. But it is there is a bug flying around my face, and I don't know
I've been trying to kill it myself.
Almost
but
landed
you know
on
who
my
we can
eye.
call? We can call Pest Patrol. Our Pest Patrol phone line 673-6700.
That landed on my eye.
Yep.
But anyway, now that I get back on the train track, it's just very easy to be irrational as a sports fan, and I know that I tend to be very much like this, especially when it comes to like watching a football game. For whatever reason, a few plays can go the wrong way. It could be the first quarter, and it's like, oh, this is over. And you're like, no, it's actually just 7-0, and you had the ball one time, and it didn't work out. But it's very easy to overreact.
But I think a lot of it, the reason our fan base in the sports world reacts the way it does is because the way the franchises are. For example, the Cleveland Cavaliers just lost to, for the most part, going to be the Eastern Conference champions, and many think will win the NBA title. The Boston Celtics. The Cleveland Cavaliers went 48-34, competed well, lost their final game without Donovan Mitchell, one of their best players, lose to the Celtics, and they fired J.B. Bickerstaff. The Lakers fired Darvin Ham after a year before we're in the Western Conference Finals, and then 1 year they fire these coaches. And I think the coaching carousel that owners do instigate that, and when they give up or not give up on players and they move on from players quickly, and I think that's one of the things that we see sports fans overreact to, and I think that's one of the reasons why is because it's such an emotional. I mean, we see it. I mean, you see it. The reason people cry after the Rangers win, it's an emotional. The reason that people get frustrated on Monday after a Cowboys loss is it's emotional. We get tied to it. We feel like we're invested in it. We feel like we're not going to get our paycheck if we don't execute the play at the end. And so,
but I've always thought about it as the other way that. You've got people in the building, in the front office, people that are making decisions, ownership, general managers, things like that. That some of them do make emotional reactions, but for the most part, you've got those people in there, or at least should be thinking about bigger picture, not being knee jerk, taking the business side of it also. But I think a lot of the stuff that we see on that side is reaction to like wanting to keep fan base happy, reacting to the general feelings of the fan base because they want to sell tickets. They like the expectation. And this is always one of those things that it seems like we've accused Jerry Jones of being devoid of, and that is like you all the time will hear the comment from a Cowboys fan like, "Well, it doesn't matter. We can go 8-8. Jerry still makes some billions." Like whatever the number that you throw out. So that people are thinking that's one of the accusations that you hear with some ownership groups is like they won't do enough. They don't care to do the right thing because. The business side of it is strong, so I guess you can go either way with that. So you see some frustration sometimes from management ownership that doesn't result in immediate changes. If Jerry Jones did more changing, I think it would make the fan base much happier.
Well, and I think I do agree with that. And a couple other groups of people, one put on Facebook was HOA members can be very overreacting. That's very true. And I think the other one that's probably get passionate is people and food. You see it on the Abilene dining, that people lose their mind. And I'll be honest with you, I'll tell a story probably. I think we'll have time after the break maybe, but I think those people react. There are people that really lose their mind. They want to show the picture of their food that they didn't get exactly right. And those people overreact and have a pretty good time with it.
Oh yeah. You definitely can see a lot of overreaction to food being incorrect. It's one of those things that when I order my food, I expect it to be correct, but I also generally, and this is generally my thought with, sometimes I have to remind myself, Yuri Rodriguez, middle reliever for the Rangers, he doesn't want to suck.
Right.
Like he's not out there not caring.
Right. My intention is to stay out on the field longer, so I'm not going to field a play.
Right.
Yeah.
So at the same time, for the most part, and this is probably much different in some food service places, but for the most part, those people don't want to give you a bad.
No, because they
order.
Understand if you do come back in, it reflects them. If somebody does post it on that dining page, it reflects their boss, their owner,
and some people care about that more than others. But at the same time, it's like I try to give people the benefit of the doubt in that situation. But you're right. When service is poor at a restaurant, how heated people can get, it's one of those things.
And it's two different levels. Like you got the people that handle. It's kind of like losing with your franchise. You handle it a little bit better. Some handle it. Like last night, and I've got a little bit of time before we have to do legal ID and go to break. Last night after that fabbling.
Wow,
the Abilene Flying Bisons. I was hungry, and so I went to an establishment, and I ordered something. I looked, and it was wrong. And I went in, and unfortunately, the drive-thru was the only thing that was open. So I had to go back through. You know what they did? They made it. They switched it. Not a big deal. I was pretty proud of myself for handling it better because I was pretty hungry. I'm not going to lie, and was already tired.
Hangry Hodge.
I was a little bit, but handle it well. And then you have people that just lose their mind. And so, overreacting fan, keep bringing them in. If you think there's another overreacting group, I do think that one is. I do think it is the HOA. Great call by Chad on our Facebook page. And then, of course, people just losing their mind over food. And I tell you, don't forget at the bottom of the hour, guys that handle their experience well is Potosi Alive, and Chris Randolph be at the bottom of the hour. But don't forget Mulligan's. They take care of you all the time with their tater kegs. You go out there, steak fingers, go see Kyle and those guys, see them. They will take care of you. Great food, great atmosphere, and a great place to go watch the Colonial this week. Watch the Mavs tonight. And, of course, they'll have live music, and get your tickets for Mulligan's Bash. When we come back, Dak says he don't want to play for money. I don't know what he wants to play for. We'll be back right after this.
And action. KLGD, Stanford, Abilene, 106.9 FM. Your home for real country music. Country Giant Radio.
What is it that makes you powerful? It's not only having a voice, but knowing that it's heard loud and clear. We understand knowledge can change your life, and that energy will continue to power it. And because you're part of a Touchstone Energy Cooperative, we're always listening. Because you're more than just a customer, you're a member. And what's more powerful than that?
You are the most important part of Big Country Electric Cooperative. Call, stop by our offices in Roby, Snyder, and Stanford, or visit online at bigcountry.coop.
Hello, Abilene and the Big Country. My name is John Keaty. I am a resident at Disability Resources Incorporated. I'm here to tell you about our document destruction and paper shredding business. Our services include routine pickups, purges, or we accept drop-offs at our state-of-the-art, safe, and secure facility. We are the DRI shredders, and we are here to assist and serve you in the destruction of your most private documents or any of those annoying boxes that have stacked up over the years. Give us a call at 325-232-6918. Come on out and see us at 3602 North Clack Street. You'll be glad you did.
Have you enjoyed the Potosi Live experience yet? If not, you're missing one of the best atmospheres around. With amazing food, great drinks, live music, TVs to watch your favorite sporting events. The Potosi Live team will make sure you have an experience that you're going to tell your friends about. Check out PotosiLive.com or go like them at Potosi Live on Facebook for their upcoming live music and ticket events. Head out to Potosi at 897 FM 1750 for the Potosi Live experience.
When it comes to finding the right vehicle for you, there's no better place than Lawrence Hall in Abilene. For over 34 years, Lawrence Hall in Abilene has been the place to find the best from Chevrolet, Buick, and GMC. And that is still true today. Great products and great service, too. So the next time you need a new car, truck, or SUV, come see us or shop 24/7 at LawrenceHallAbileneOnline.com. Voted Abilene's best new car dealer for over 28 years by you, our customers.
Miller Lite is the light beer brewed for people who love the taste of beer. For those who are always the first to volunteer for beer runs, who hit up tailgates for sports that they don't even like, And believe having a beer fridge in the garage is non-negotiable. It's a 96-calorie, 3.2 carb love letter to beer lovers who know that
This will be a gold mine of local intel.
Tell us about this corn festival.
Oh, he got your corn pudding.
So is it safe around here? Sometimes. No eyebrows?
Think of how light it'll feel in the summer. We gotta run 11,000 more neighborhoods to go.
Ding dong.
Homes.com.
Comes to the business. I don't play for money. Never have, never cared for it, to be honest with you.
Play for championships.
Yeah, would give it up just to play this game. So so I allow that to the business people to say what it's worth, what they're supposed to give a quarterback of my play, a person of my play, leader of my play, I guess you can say. And for me, it's about, as I said, control. I can control and handle that part, and the rest will take care of itself.
I think it was a great answer for the situation. Now, saying he'd give it all up just to play the game.
Never cared for it.
Yeah, it's part of the game, I guess. It's not really my thing. Mm-hmm. I appreciate that. I respect the hell out of that.
Sure.
You know, sometimes when you're not looking for something, you find it when you're looking for something. TAs where he was obviously asked about his contract.
Is he playing for free?
Please run the Dak Prescott video from OTAs where he was obviously asked about his contract situation, which is certainly loose. Did you hear what Dak Prescott said? Please run the Dak.
Coming to your door. Pest Control. Get ready. The Hodge Pack. Settle in right now. It is time for the Hodge Pack. Sports, life, and everything in between with Josh, Misty, and Hodge. It's time for hour 2 of the Hodge Pack.
OTAs where he was obviously asked about his contract situation, which is certainly looming down there once again.
Business is business. I'll leave it where it gets handled. Right now, it's about being my best for this team right now in this moment. OTAs helping these guys out and just focused on that. And I know my business will take care of itself. And so been in it before, experienced, and just controlling what I can right now.
Why have we been able to be so patient when it comes to the business?
I don't play for money. Never have, never cared for it, to be honest with you.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack, Sports, Life, and everything in between as we're rocking and rolling. It is time for hour number 2, brought to you by Coleman County State Bank. Appreciate them. Again, Misty out this week, but Hodge and Josh are here. And Josh, you just heard the statement. That's an excerpt from the Pat McAfee show. Check out Pat McAfee. I don't know about you, but I enjoy Pat. He's kind of funny. It's a great. He reminds me of what I want to be, a punter. Just kidding. But Josh, so Dak Prescott talking about. Obviously, we want to talk about overreaction. OTAs is happening, organized team activity. It's mandatory but recommended, not mandatory but recommended.
It's voluntary.
Yeah, it's voluntary.
They seem to forget
recommended.
that. Voluntary.
Voluntary but highly recommended. So it's voluntary this summer when those football coaches ask you, yeah, you're sure you can come work out. It's voluntary. You don't have to, but we highly recommend that you do.
Well, there's a little bit of difference in the fact that there's no way that Micah Parsons is getting benched because he didn't come to voluntary workouts.
No, and he's not. But Dak, again, we've seen contracts signed, Josh, and you mentioned Trey Lance, and will Trey Lance be number 2 or will it be Cooper Rush? But we're listening here. Dak Prescott says that I do not play for the money, and I would play this game for free, and all those things being said, and it's the right thing. And Pat goes on to say, I appreciate the answer. It's the right thing to say, and all those things. But the deep down truth of it is, we have seen quarterbacks bet on themselves. Lamar Jackson bet on himself and ended up getting paid very well. He's the talk. Another talk of training camp, if you will, is that he's lost 25 pounds and wants to be more agile and all these things. But should we overreact to the fact that it is May 24th? We're less than a few days away from, the schedule's out, tickets are being bought, tailgates are being bought, all these things are happening. Should we be overreacting, and is this a big deal that Dak Prescott doesn't have a new contract going into the 2024 season?
Well, I don't think it's a big deal, But I am beginning to think the plan is to not bring him back. I think that Trey Lance thing makes more sense if they thought that they were trying to replace him. And there's been no discussions of contract. The thing that I find it disingenuous to say that you don't care about money, but then if he truly did not care and was willing to just sign a very healthy, family set for 2 generations contract, that was also very, very under market, he could walk into Stephen Jones' office right now and they'd get that done. He says he lets the business people to decide what he's worth. So it's not saying you do it for nothing. It's saying I'm going to get paid what I'm worth. He's just not the one that's going to determine what that number is.
Well, and he's not necessarily determining that, but to me, yes, eventually, Josh, you can buy a house and maybe it's going to be a lot cheaper. But right now, houses are expensive.
Right.
You guys are noticing that. Misty's noticing that. Houses are expensive. Right now, quarterbacks are expensive.
Right, they are.
And they're not getting any cheaper.
But I think this could actually be a market correction. We talked about market corrections. I think there's a potential for a market correction in football because it's become – quarterbacks are so expensive that it's hard to keep a team around a quarterback once you sign a franchise quarterback. And guaranteed money has become a new thing, that there's like every contract comes out now that there's like guaranteed money that did not used to exist. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's not a market correction to where we see quarterbacks become what running backs have become. And that is we bring in the young guy, stick him in there, build a team around him, and we pay this guy rookie minimum, which is already established. It doesn't matter where first round pick all the way down. You know what you're making based on what pick you were. You're a 5-year contract or a 4-year contract with a 1-year option. If you're picked in the first round, you're a 4-year contract otherwise. So I see the potential for more teams to start doing that. Just
Wouldn't
because
that be crazy talk that the most important position in maybe sports becomes to where you rent them for 4 years and move on?
Look at teams that are good teams that have, like the 49ers come to mind specifically. They got a quarterback out of the 7th round. And I'm not saying they're not going to end up paying him, but they had weapons. They had offensive line. They have a system in place, and they've just rotated through quarterbacks, and all of them do well. So does that, to me, that says that you either got extremely lucky that Brock Purdy just fell to the 7th round, and you picked him up out of some sort of like giggles, and now he's considered one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL.
But I do think his unfortunate luck, or what you look at, that they look at him, whether it's fair or not fair, they look at what Brady did at the 199th pick.
Yes.
And they expect him to do the same type of things. And he's going to have that chance. He's going to get to the point where his rookie dollar amount is going to be where in each year, it's almost like in the NFL, in baseball, I mean, I know Bobby Bonilla is an exception, but we got guys that are getting paid a lot of money way after their prime, way after they're even really good. Forget prime, even beneficial, because of the guaranteed money that's involved in baseball.
Right.
In football, every year it's almost like, hey, you're playing for. That's why they want that guaranteed money up front, because if I blow out a knee, if I all of a sudden, as you mentioned about the second baseman, if I start playing terrible and now my value goes down, I still need that money to live on. So every year, Brock Purdy, until that happens, until he gets that guaranteed deal, he's going to run into that. And I think that the challenge of that is each year in football, we see it in the Super Bowl teams. Super Bowl teams, very rare do they run it back with everybody.
Right.
Because somebody's got to go.
Somebody's got to go. You can't pay
anymore.
them. You have to make choices. But I'm just saying, I think that there is a possibility for a market shift to where the quarterback doesn't get paid so much if you see a few teams that have those young guys that step up. Because if you can build the rest of your team, I just think that there is a huge drop off between the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the league and basically everybody else. And there's tiers. I mean, I'm not saying that there's not. You wouldn't rather have, Jimmy Garoppolo, who played terrible with the Raiders. Like obviously Dak Prescott's been better than him. There's tiers, but other than those top few guys, like back in the day, it was Brady, Manning, and Breeze, and Aaron Rodgers kind of moved into that same territory, and then those guys kind of retired. Aaron Rodgers hung around a little longer, and and who knows if he's ever going to be effective again. But though after those tiers, there was a big drop, and there was a big drop in how much people got paid. But then suddenly it became that Daniel Jones gets huge
$40 million.
paydays. Like just mid-level quarterbacks are getting paid upper level money. And I just don't think that that's going to sustain, because if you take the Giants, if you take Daniel Jones, if Daniel Jones is on a good team with a good offensive line with healthy weapons, which he never seems to be able to maintain because Barkley was always hurt. The receivers were like some of the worst in the league.
No names.
But if you put good players around him and pay him mid-level money instead of top-level money to afford those players, your team's probably better. And
so you want to surround yourself. I mean, honestly, we're kind of seeing that in the NBA final or Western Conference Finals right now. Yes, I would put up Kyrie. I mean, Ant-Man and Karl Anthony Towns are probably two of the best duos. But Kyrie and Luka are doing really good, but they're getting help from Hardaway and Washington and all those things. But I do think that the pressure that is going to be that's out there on making sure – Dak has got to figure out, because here's the deal. Dak's going to get paid regardless. He's either going to get that $55 to $60 million from the Cowboys, or somebody like the Raiders or somebody like that's going to want to pay him. And one of the things I heard this week, and it's a true story, Kansas City's going to make sure Mahomes never leaves. I think Buffalo is going to make sure that Josh Allen never leaves. And they did that with Lamar. Lamar betted on himself, and he won. But are those the only 3 quarterbacks out there that nobody's going to bet? Because the next guy that's going to need to get paid is Trevor Lawrence. He's getting close to where it's time for him to be signed again. Minnesota, they didn't make that decision on Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins said, I'm going to Atlanta. I just wonder if we're going to – somebody's going to pay that money. And then again, maybe Trey Lance is the guy that was picked number 3 that could be very good. He says he's trying to battle for that number 2, and maybe number 2 matters. But the hard thing about football is you're not going to, like in baseball, you can put somebody in on one of the games of 162 games and see if they can contribute, see if they can help. You're not going to start Trey Lance to give him a chance in a random game over Dak Prescott.
No.
Let's see what we have.
You're not just gonna like,
and the preseason game's not going to give you enough either. So you're not going to know if you can be better without Dak until you either just let him go. And I guess that's the only way, because you're not just going to throw Trey Lance out there to give it a whirl.
Well, no, but you have to make those decisions on practice reps, and see how that goes. It's still a leap, But you've got to think to yourself, if you're looking at, we talked about a while ago, Micah Parsons, now that Aaron Donald has moved on, like he's right up there as the top defensive player in football. What are you going to do to keep him? You've got CeeDee Lamb, and there's always a need to have those top receivers. And they've chosen not to invest any money in the running back position now, which I don't disagree with. But there's, obviously, we've lost some guys on the offensive line. We've got new guys coming in. Who are we going to keep there? Who's going to have to stay around? I mean, there's no way they can sign everybody that they've got. So they've got to sit and think, what's the best for this team? Is it to spend $50 million a year on Dak Prescott and let
there's
Parsons
no
walk?
way it's not less than that.
Well, I know.
I think it's 55 or higher.
And you let Parsons walk because you signed Prescott, or do you decide, all right, we're gonna bolster the rest of this. We're gonna keep the core of everybody else, as far as like keep our defense, build there, keep the offensive line going in the right direction, have some weapons, and see what someone else can do for half the money.
It's going to be interesting. I know football, it's back on the field, not quite yet, but we'll see what happens if Dak just goes and rolls the dice. We'll roll the dice when we come back, with knowing is half the battle.
From eco-friendly thermostats to energy-efficient lighting systems for your business, technology is making everything smarter. Good thing your Touchstone Energy Cooperative can help you make smarter work harder. Today, there are more ways than ever to make your world more energy efficient, and we can show you how. Take the next step to go electric and put the power of your co-op to work for you.
You are the most important part of Big Country Electric Cooperative. Call, stop by our offices in Roby, Snyder, and Stamford, or visit online at bigcountry.coop.
At First Bank and Trust, our story started in 1996, and it continues because of you, our customers, our communities, and our neighbors. We are proud to be a small part of your success. But where does your story start? Where do you want to go? Whether starting a business, saving for the future, or launching your ideas to the next level, we want to help you take your first steps towards something big. Call or email one of our bankers today. At First Bank and Trust, we see potential, ideas, innovation, growth everywhere.
Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Pest Patrol, Pest Patrol, Pest Patrol. To get a big bright yellow truck coming to your door. Call Pest Patrol.
Hi, I'm Weldon Hurst, and we've been protecting homes and businesses for 30 years right here in the Big Country. If you need service or just have questions, call or text at 325-673-6700.
The big bright yellow truck coming to your door. Call Pest Patrol.
Hello, Abilene and the Big Country. My name is John Keaty. I am a resident at Disability Resources Incorporated. I'm here to tell you about our document destruction and paper shredding business. Our services include routine pickups, purges, or we accept drop-offs at our state-of-the-art, safe, and secure facility. We are the DRI Shredders, and we are here to assist and serve you in the destruction of your most private documents or any of those annoying boxes that have stacked up over the years. Give us a call at 325-232-6918. Come on out and see us at 3602 North Clack Street. You'll be glad you did.
Have you enjoyed the Potosi Live experience yet? If not, you're missing one of the best atmospheres around. With amazing food, great drinks, live music, TVs to watch your favorite sporting events. The Potosi Live team will make sure you have an experience that you're going to tell your friends about. Check out PotosiLive.com or go like them at Potosi Live on Facebook for their upcoming live music and ticket events. Head out to Potosi at 897 FM 1750 for the Potosi Live experience.
When it comes to finding the right vehicle for you, there's no better place than Lawrence Hall in Abilene. For over 34 years, Lawrence Hall in Abilene has been the place to find the best from Chevrolet, Buick, and GMC. That is still true today. Great products and great service, too. So the next time you need a new car, truck, or SUV, come see us or shop 24/7 at LawrenceHallAbileneOnline.com. Voted Abilene's best new car dealer for over 28 years by you, our customers.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain Cold Refreshment made to chill. 2020 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
The time has changed and it's time to hit the range at Mulligan Sports Bar, Grill, and Golf. Come relax on the patio, hit golf balls on the driving range, play 18 holes, and go enjoy a delicious meal, cold drinks with friends. Head to 1166 Ben Ritchie Drive, Mulligan Sports Bar, Grill, and Golf. You'll be glad you did.
Front row or cheap seats, the best place to be is logged in to KLGD1069.com, listening to the best sports radio show in the Big Country, the Hodge Pack, bringing the action to you.
This is my town. Yeah, this is my town. My town.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack, Sports Life and everything in between. It is time We're going to throw a little curveball because we have got a special person in our studio. It's time for our Big Country Electric My Town segment, which is fitting because Big Country Electric has three amazing offices, Roby, Snyder, and Stanford. And this guy in studio, his mom was my first landlord in Roby. He's done shows in Snyder, which there's an office in Snyder. And if there's a chance, this guy will do shows probably in Stanford as well. Joining us in a very fitting the Potosi Live studio, Chris Randolph, a guy that's turned a napkin into a lot of things in a bus that he probably never thought would be. Actually, he probably did, because this guy, if you want to talk about entrepreneurs, this is it. But joining us in studio, Chris Randolph.
Welcome to be here.
Well, we're glad you're here. There's a lot going on. I mean, your world is literally, you're kind of like that panda lady at halftime. You got a lot of plates going, but you and your team have it rocking and rolling. A lot of stuff going on. Of course, Chris came on board, has been with the Hodge Pack for almost since day one with supporting us, and we appreciate that a lot. And, of course, your team, we did the March Madness show out there, which was a lot of fun. And so it's just some people probably have seen it, and they think, well, there's just a VIP bus going by. But talk a little bit about how that story started.
Well, a lot of people really, some know the story, some don't. I still get asked, do you still do that bus thing that you started in Snyder in 2006? And one bus is now 30 buses later. So, when people ask to talk about my story, it's kind of hard to figure out which part of the story I want to talk about. Do we talk about the bus side of things? Do we talk about how vested we are with the Dallas Cowboys? Do we talk about our concert division? Do we talk about the restaurants, the property across from Cowboy Stadium? There's a lot of things involved with all that. But, starting with VIP, I had a dream of, taking people on bus trips because I was a truck driver there for a long time, and just kind of went to Nashville, bought an entertainer bus, and, trying to figure out, what to do with this bus now that I've bought it. And, talked about doing golf trips and different things like that. And somebody says, why don't you take people to the Dallas Cowboy games? And I'll say, you know what, that's a good idea. So bought 14 season tickets, converted the bus, and next thing you know, we're going to the old stadium at, in Dallas. So,
well, and it's just so cool. Again, of course, now it's golfed into, and we'll talk about the tailgate experience, because again, we've got the schedule's been released and a lot of great home games opportunity. But talk more about, not only are you driving folks to the Cowboys games, but there's not a college trip that's not going out of this town that you guys are involved in.
Yeah. So, well, the bus thing obviously got bigger and bigger, and Abilene Christian had a needing transportation for their sports teams, and they called me. And I really wasn't in the charter bus business at that point, but our very first trip we did in the charter buses was actually, I did a trip out of Snyder for their baseball team, and I was actually the driver on that one. And it started growing more, and got Abilene Christian, and then we signed a 5-year contract with Abilene Christian at that time. And then McMurray says, well, hey, we want to be a part of that. And then Hardin Simmons says, hey, we want to be a part of that. And then Howard Payne obviously wanted to be a part of it. So, it takes a big fleet to carry all the athletic teams in Abilene.
Well, and you think about it, because as a guy that coached for 10 years and having that responsibility of driving your team to and from, whether you're going to Hermely or you're going to wherever you're going, driving as a coach, taking that burden off of you as a coach, and knowing you've got a trained bus driver, that responsibility is no longer on you, is a huge burden. Not only, yes, it's a great deal for VIP, but it's also a great service that now those coaches can focus getting their kids ready and just get to the game.
Yeah, and that's one thing about a lot of our businesses look a lot of fun, but that's the necessity of our business. The buses are running every day. I mean, sometimes we have 15, 20 bus trips a day.
Well, and the connection to Hodgetown, the Sod Poodles, again, another connection up there with the minor league team there.
Yeah, we're running them right now. So, have the Sod Poodles out of Amarillo, and we also have the Midland Rockhounds out of Midland, and run all their baseball teams. And they take 2 buses each every trip. So that's kind of cool. They only carry 30 people, and each bus holds 50. So, they take care of their players, and those players, make pretty good money too.
Well, and it's one of those things that as an organization, and I know, and again, we brag about y'all a lot about the experience that you get to have at Potosi Live or wherever you're at that you guys are involved, is you want your kids to experience. You don't want to be, because some of those guys are big. I mean, I went and watched the Flying Bison last night, and their first baseman, huge. You don't want to be next to, okay, great, we're doubling up with him on the way to wherever they're going for a baseball game,
and we're carrying them as well. So once they start their travel, we're gonna carry them. So
that makes for some late nights if you have to leave Amarillo after a night game and be somewhere like coming up, I guess.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we have about 30 drivers now, and we're able to, do driver swaps and different things like that. Most for us, it's getting the buses back, getting them clean, getting them ready to go back again. Mm-hmm. The Sod Poodle's a little bit different. They have one of the buses wrapped, so that bus specifically has to go with all their trips.
Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming, do you have a place that just stays there in Amarillo?
No, we bring everything back here.
Bring everything back here. Okay, nice.
They go out for a week and a half, sometimes 2 weeks, and then they're home for a while, so we don't really have to do anything.
So you can maintain it, do the maintenance and wash and all that here locally. So.
Same thing with Howard Payne. They have a bus that's wrapped, but we bring it back. But that's not that far either. So
right. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about, schedule release last week. You started off where the opening was in Texas Stadium, but now you've got AT&T, Boiling Tails right across the street, and kind of very similar. I mean, Jerry puts a lot of things in AT&T, and you guys are there not just for the Cowboys games. Mike Tyson's going to I think Mike Tyson's going to knock out the Paul guy. That's just me because I saw what he did to Allen in The Hangover. But talk a little bit about, again, a lot of big games coming up, some exciting stuff happening at AT&T this year, and how the tailgate kind of started. And it's grown. I was talking, the Ravens is big. It was one of the big games, but the tailgate experience that adds to what you guys do.
Yeah, that pretty much changed the game for me, acquiring that property across the street. It's almost 3 acres, that we have right across the street from the stadium. And when I say across the street, I mean, literally you can throw a football into the front entrance from our front deck of the restaurant, even though the restaurant is an old house that was built in the 40s,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was, that whole area was, apartments and houses on Collins Street before the stadium was even built. They practically built the stadium in a neighborhood. And so the old Fishbone, which is now Boiling Tails, we bought that in 2009. And before that, we were at the old stadium, and I was the driver of the bus, and I'd pull up and I'd start flipping the burgers and all that stuff and getting things ready. And I felt like it was so much easier just to call somebody to bring the food and just set it up. So that's kind of where and I knew they were moving to the new stadium, so I started scouting the area out and thought, if I could find a really cool place to park these buses, and have a small little tailgate and be able to walk across the street to the game. That was just my, that's what I wanted to do, to figure that part out, and got lucky and found some land, was able to purchase it. And the tailgate went from 50 people to 100 people to the Eagles game last year. We had 4,000 people before the game. So,
and that's a lot of queue. That's a lot of our.
That's a lot of barbecue.
Yeah, that is,
and we outsource that, so we just have to. We can't do that all in house.
Right.
I know Moy and Donovan work a lot of magic, but
that would be a lot of magic.
I remember Moy the first time he came over, and we did one of our first tailgates he did with us, and the line before we even opened the gate wrapped all the way down Collins past the red light, and he's looking at me, he's like, well, now how are we going to get all these people in here? I said, well, it works out,
So talk about, the schedule release, a lot of fun home games. I mentioned Baltimore, the Bengals, Joe Burrow, hopefully he's healthy, will be there. Talk about how folks can, whether they want to do a company thing, can they do it if me, Josh, and Misty wanted to go?
Sure.
How does that work out on the VIP stuff?
So one misconception that most people feel like, since I live in Abilene, people feel like you have to be from Abilene to go experience a VIP trip, which that is not even close to the case. I mean, internet beats geography. So anywhere in the United States, we get a lot of customers from Mexico, Canada, Australia that go to a Dallas Cowboy game. and they can just go online and buy our tailgate, or they can, buy our packages online. And so, we do the hotels, the game ticket, bus transportation while they're there. And of course, the Bill Bates tailgate with autographs. We got Jay Novacek hosting it this year with Bill. And then usually we have Charles Haley and Tony Hill, a lot of, legends of the game per se. But I always say it's really kind of hard to mess the tailgate up as long as you have good beverages, autographs, good food, good atmosphere, good DJ, and TVs going on, because this is all just build up, getting ready to go watch the Cowboys play right across the street.
Well, and you think about that, of all the people that come. So people can either ride from Abilene to there and back.
Well, that's gone too. So everything out, the buses now are so, entwined with all the colleges and stuff. It's kind of ironic. If we're sending 20 buses to the game, they're all going empty. And then they park at strategically hotels that people flew into. Okay. And then we take them from the hotel over to the tailgate party and then back to the hotel after the game. And then they go back home. So there is some businesses that can call us and book a whole bus, kind of like a Ranger game or whatnot. And, we'll do the whole thing for them, and they'll go do a day trip, or they can do an overnight. But we've just kind of phased that part out, because we had more demand coming just kind of from all over the world.
Well, and I guess it's a really good Uber. Yeah. The bus ride, and comes with all the benefits of the food, the tailgate experience. I've gotten to go once. My brother and I went to actually Cleveland, got to watch Colt McCoy and the Browns. It's a great experience. So you've got to do it if you've not done it. It's a great way to experience the whole Cowboy experience. And of course, y'all's experience that y'all give at Potosi Live carries on. Y'all make sure the experience and the service is always top notch.
Yeah. And kind of going on Potosi Live, we just, during COVID, our business was nothing. All the buses were shut down.
Right.
No Dallas Cowboy games, anything. So, when you do as much as we do, you get accustomed to always working and looking for things to do, and COVID shut it down. And I was just driving out on 1750 and saw that the old JoJo's place was for sale, and it had plenty of room for parking. We always wanted to kind of have a concert venue and kind of, do stuff that we were already doing across the street from Cowboy Stadium and take it to another level here in Abilene, being that we live here. And I talked to Moy and Donovan and we did literally draw it out on a napkin and said, hey, let's see if we can build this. And, next thing you know, it was built. And people thought we were crazy too, but probably still they were crazy.
Well, but y'all have done a lot of different things. I know Josh and them take advantage of Sundays, and just a lot of opportunity there. Great TVs and concerts, and of course, that's one thing. In our 5 years of being on the air, getting to meet and have people on the show have been cool. You've gotten to create some pretty cool relationships since this thing started in 2006 with the bus out of Snyder.
Absolutely. And, you kind of touched on the Mike Tyson deal, and we'll announce it next week, but I'll just announce it on your show day. We're going to be doing a big pre-party before the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight. And obviously a good friend of mine, Ric Flair, is going to be joining us for that. And Rick's a hoot, been able to hang out with him a lot. And ups and downs of his life are crazy. So,
right. So what are some of the games that, again, the schedule's been released? I've mentioned the Baltimore game just because, when two-time MVP comes to Texas, it's a big deal. What are some games you are excited, looking forward to from a fan, but also from a great opportunity for VIP?
Yeah, the Eagles game is always big. We have a big following out of Philadelphia. We have one guy that brings, close to 1,000 of his customers, and that's always a good time. The Baltimore game, a guy called in looking for about 1,600 that he's bringing in for us to host at the tailgate and stuff. I look forward to all of them. I haven't missed a game since 2006, a home game. I'm looking forward to traveling to San Francisco. We usually do a plane trip. We take all our customers out. We've done Green Bay 3 times. New Orleans is fun, but we're looking at something for the San Francisco game. That ought to be a good one.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. So a couple of things. We got Wade Bowen coming July 5th.
We do.
So tickets still available for that?
Yes. PotosiLive.com.
So PotosiLive.com. And then, again, one of the things that y'all have done a good job with giving back, and that is hosting different fundraisers for folks. And y'all have got one coming up, I believe, June 13th for Holly and the folks that were affected by the tornado out there. And so go check it out. Again, Chris, we thank you. I know first day of school doesn't mean last day of school. Your one son said the man, the myth, and the legend is here. You have definitely big success on what you've done, and I know you give a lot of credit to your team.
Well, I was going to say, it takes a full team and family support.
And a wife that keeps everything in line, too.
A very good wife that keeps it all in line. She does, and you got to have a good banker, people that believe in you, and it all starts from the bottom, and you just got to do what you say.
Right.
That's probably the biggest advice I could give to anybody.
Well, be sure to check out VIPsports.com.
VIPsportsgetaway.com.
VIP Sports.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah. Hooked on phonics work for me. Get over to VIP. Good night, almighty. Chris, hey, I swear it's only Dr. Pepper this morning. But get over there. A lot of opportunities to go watch some games. Again, a lot of fun home games, and of course the Cowboys. We'll see. Ask you. Will Dak get signed this year, or is he going to play on the one he's got?
Jerry likes to make money, and I think if he signs Dak to a long term, he's going to still make a lot of money. So I think it happens.
I do too.
Dak's a good quarterback. I mean, he's probably not the greatest, but he gets the job done.
Well, there's not a lot. There's not a lot of plan Bs. I think that would be better than that.
And I agree with that.
No, I'm 100% on board with that.
Yeah. And so check it out. Get your tickets for Wade Bowen July 5th. Great way to spend Independence Day weekend. And, of course, June 13th, there'll be the exciting opportunity for you to give back and help the folks at Holly. Chris, appreciate you taking time this morning.
Absolutely.
And look forward to seeing all the great shows and stuff that you guys will keep bringing to Abilene.
Okay.
All right, that's Chris Randolph. When we come back, we're going to find out knowing is half the battle.
Hello, Abilene and the Big Country. My name is John Keaty. I am a resident at Disability Resources Incorporated. I'm here to tell you about our document destruction and paper shredding business. Our services include routine pickups, purges, or we accept drop-offs at our state-of-the-art, safe, and secure facility. We are the DRI Shredders, and we are here to assist and serve you in the destruction of your most private documents or any of those annoying boxes that have stacked up over the years. Give us a call at 325-232-6918. Come on out and see us at 3602 North Clack Street. You'll be glad you did.
Have you enjoyed the Potosi Live experience yet? If not, you're missing one of the best atmospheres around. With amazing food, great drinks, live music, TVs to watch your favorite sporting events. The Potosi Live team will make sure you have an experience that you're going to tell your friends about. Check out PotosiLive.com or go like them at Potosi Live on Facebook for their upcoming live music and ticket events. Head out to Potosi at 897 FM 1750 for the Potosi Live experience.
When it comes to finding the right vehicle for you, there's no better place than Lawrence Hall in Abilene. For over 34 years, Lawrence Hall in Abilene has been the place to find the best from Chevrolet, Buick, and GMC. And that is still true today. Great products and great service, too. So the next time you need a new car, truck, or SUV, come see us or shop 24/7 at LawrenceHallAbileneOnline.com. Voted Abilene's best new car dealer for over 28 years by you, our customers.
Pest Patrol, Pest Patrol, Pest Patrol. To get a big, bright yellow truck coming to your door. Call Pest Patrol.
Hi, I'm Weldon Hurt, and we've been protecting families just like yours with pest problems for 30 years. If you have pest issues, let our family help yours. For service or questions, call or text at 325-673-6700.
The big, bright yellow truck coming to your door. Call Pest Patrol.
Miller Lite is the light beer brewed for people who love the taste of beer. For those who are always the first to volunteer for beer runs. Who hit up tailgates for sports that they don't even like. And believe having a beer fridge in the garage is non-negotiable. It's a 96-calorie, 3.2 carb love letter to beer lovers who know that the best part of beer is the beer part. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin beer.
Hi, I'm Sharon Riley. Here in Abilene, folks have lots of options for eating out, from large chains to locally owned mom and pops like us. I want you to know we really appreciate your business and are always striving for wonderful food, service, and prices. So we listened to you and have updated our menu, bringing back old favorites like nachos and fajitas and adding more small plates for the light appetites. So come see us. I want to hear you say, yum, yum.
The time has changed and it's time to hit the range at Mulligan Sports Bar, Grill, and Golf. Come relax on the patio, hit golf balls on the driving range, play 18 holes, and go enjoy a delicious meal, cold drinks with friends. Head to 1166 Ben Ritchie Drive, Mulligan Sports Bar, Grill, and Golf. You'll be glad you did.
At First Bank and Trust, our story started in 1996 and it continues because of you, our customers, our communities, and our neighbors. We are proud to be a small part of your success. But where does your story start? Where do you want to go? Whether starting a business, saving for the future, or launching your ideas to the next level, we want to help you take your first steps towards something big. Call or email one of our bankers today. At First Bank and Trust, we see potential, ideas, innovation, growth everywhere.
Member FDIC and Equal Housing Lender.
Favorite thing about my street?
It's quiet.
Safe. The people.
We rely on each other.
And we rely on our Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
The co-op isn't just about electricity.
It's about power.
The power of information, efficiency,
safety,
technology.
That's why whenever I have a question about energy, I always call my Touchstone Energy Cooperative first. Because in my community,
I am the co-op. And the co-op
is me.
You are the most important part of Big Country Electric Cooperative. Call, stop by our offices in Roby, Snyder, and Stamford, or visit online at bigcountry.coop.
Hot sports takes, life, and everything in between that'll fire you up for the day. The Hodge Pack.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack, Sports Life and everything in between. It is time for Knowing Is Half the Battle. A couple things we want to remind you about. Dallas Mavericks trying to win Game 2 tonight in Minnesota. Can they go 2-0 and head back to the American Airlines Center and be 2-0 and a step closer to advancing to the NBA Finals? Of course, again, don't forget the Holly Bearcats advancing to the regional final, waiting to see if they'll play Stanford or New Home in the Hermley Lady Cardinals. A little bit torn. My buddy Bubba Edwards out there at Borden County, and of course Sammy Winters, Hermley winning Game 1 last night 7-6, and have Game 2 tonight for a chance to go back to the state tournament in softball. And of course the Colonial underway. Charlie Hoffman 500. George Spieth has teed off and has got back to even par, and we'll see how the rest of that days goes for that. And of course the Dallas Stars losing last night 3-2 in OT, and the Flying Bison 15-3 winners. First game of the year. They're 1-0, and they'll play again tonight 7:15. Find some tickets. The box tickets, the reserve seats, Josh, all sold out. So that's a good sign for tonight and last night. So that is good for them. But it is time for Knowing Is Half the Battle.
All right. Well, one thing that sometimes, as you know, I don't know how exactly to say it. I kind of lost my train of thought on my intro there, but you learn things as you go. You know, like they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but I don't think that's true, because as I've gotten older, I've learned several things. You know, and it's not just that you're older and wiser and things like that, but I didn't know when you got to this point, but I've gotten there where, like, the old man get up noise is real. It's not it's involuntary.
Would you call it a singular noise, or is there chances?
Well, there might be more. But that just takes that little bit of to get up out of the chair, you know, like that's hit me really just recently, you know, and I've seen that in the past and thought maybe that was a little dramatic, but it's involuntary. And as a result of our experience on Wednesday, I'm living it in the now, because I hurt, and so when I stand up out of the chair, it hurts.
Well, and what Josh is talking about, for those that are tuning in, we of course we follow us on Facebook, you'd see some of that action too. But on Wednesday, we got asked, Josh is on the Junior Achievement Board. You've heard Junior Achievement on here in our years of being on the air, talking about all they do, giving back and teaching and educating students at different schools. And of course, school is out for summer. Teachers are excited as much as students. And we got asked or how did that work? They asked you if we would do this?
Yes, it was just on the rundown at one of the meetings that would be a possibility. And I was, well, I guess it could be a possibility. I can ask.
We can add heckler to it. And so we got asked to go to the Junior Achievement Golf Tournament, and I mentioned it in our Lawrence Hall Headline Report. It was the first time that Josh and I really being at a tournament, and we didn't play. And so they set us up on hole 15, and some of you may have seen this like at Young Life and stuff, but they set us up, me, Josh, and Misty, and we basically just heckled. And so we were trying to raise money for Junior Achievement, and like all the other nonprofits, any money raised is a benefit. And so Josh came up with the idea, and I'll be honest with you, at first you probably thought I was a little...
You were hesitant on it. You were hesitant on it.
Because, and so the idea was... they could pay us money to heckle. We had props. You saw different people probably posting with the big cowboy hat, wig. Shout out to Rhodey McElreath. He wore the wig, and we had a golf glove, boxing glove. But Josh had the idea, when you play in these golf tournaments, you can move up and you pay $20 to move up. Well, Josh had this idea. Guys would pay, or teams would pay, and Josh would hit a drive. We actually upgraded that. We tweaked it and moved it up to the ladies' tee, and wherever Josh's ball landed, that's where they would tee off, and they would be hitting one from that tee shot. And Josh, we kept joking, and you started off with the holster, then you had to take the holster off. I don't know if it's because we were heckling you or it was starting to weigh you down. But
you just got in my mind, so then I had to make an adjustment.
Is there any way, based on the ball count that you lost or I guess kept, how many drives you actually hit on Wednesday?
Well, there were somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 to 60, I believe, which you think, though, that's not like a whole lot. But it wore on me. And it was the combination of, we were standing up all day. It was just,
we did not take advantage of the 3 chairs.
No, it was like one time I realized, there's a chair there. And I sat down and thought, man, I haven't sat down in a long time. So just as I guess a explanation or a good visualization of how different that day was, my average step count, according to my watch, is like 11,000 steps per day. I've started to be more active and try to lose some weight, so that's stepped up a lot over the past few months. But I was averaging 11,000 steps over the last 90 days. On that particular day, I got 21,400 steps. So like almost a full double.
How many steps?
21,400. So almost a full double my normal average day of activity level was put into that day. And then swinging the golf club, towards the end of the day, it added to my drive count because I started like duck hooking balls. Just, I guess the fatigue factor set in. I wasn't hitting it square and hitting a lot of hooks. I'd be like, I'm not going to make you go hit that one over there. I'm going to hit another one. I only lost one ball in the water, which is that's pretty close. So that's kind of,
it's not, he did hit it on 16. He kept it into 15 water.
Yeah. So there was only one that just was a true like sputter, but yeah, I swung the club a lot, and that has resulted in me being extremely sore. Yesterday they always say it's the 48 hours that really gets you. Yesterday I was sore. And then today last night, this morning, like I said, the old man noise is real. When I go to sit or get out of the chair, it takes a little, you got to make this sound.
Well, and again, the professional golfers on tour, their range sessions may be an hour so long. And yes, we were there. Josh and I got there between 7 and 7:30 and having to set things up. And I appreciate we use the sound system here at KLGD, and we set things up, and you start realizing, you can't just show up. Now, we probably could have done it without the mics, but it would not been near as fun.
It added to the whole ambiance of it being.
Because we would talk to people on hole 14, which was over there. We could talk to people over on hole 18. And I think people were a lot real shocked. It was funny. Somebody told Misty, they said, man, I was really glad there was a lady there. I'm like, are you kidding? She was just as her heckling skills were up there at the top of everybody's.
Oh yeah. She's pretty ruthless.
Yeah, and so, but Josh, I guess I go back to, and one of the things I put in the rundown is you forget, and again, those guys are professionals in a lot better shape.
Yeah, they're in shape
and you're getting a lot of compliments. You lost some weight.
But they're still doing that activity that just you're building up to it. But to your point, there's other things that get you too, because I've learned this recently. I hadn't shot a basketball in a long time. Like my tragic ACL injury came from playing basketball, and that was the last time that I played basketball. But now that's several years behind us, and my kids play a lot of basketball. So one thing that they have learned and want to do is they want to play knockout. So there's been a few times that I've played several games of knockout, and then I have some like weird shoulder soreness from just shooting a basketball playing knockout. Like you wake up the next day and you're like, wow, why do I hurt? And you're like, I hurt from shooting a basketball. But used to you'd go out and shoot that many baskets just in any given evening, and now it's like fine. Like once in a blue moon you go out and shoot a basketball 100 times, and the next day you can't hardly move. So it's just like,
and it's true because I started playing. I've helped this group of kids doing some coaching, and unfortunately, there's been times that we didn't have enough to kind of scrimmage so you could run some offense and do that. And so me and Jamie Dobie have started. We'd have to play, and in my spurts are fine, but it's like you do get exhausted, and that's one thing. Shooting a basketball is very similar to golf in that I can go out and hit golf balls. I can go out and still shoot fine. My biggest thing is I love to see how many free throws I can make in a row, but you can still shoot. And when you're able to do that, you are get sore, but it's real kind of almost still rewarding knowing at 46, I still got it a little bit.
At least some monicum of it,
But you're exactly right. And I look at like people that used to, you throw BP and, you weren't rocking and firing. You're just throwing normal bat practice, but you realize real quick that it does take a toll on you. And I know, and again, I'm 46 years old. LeBron's almost 40. Aaron Rodgers is 40, 41. I totally understand that there is a big gap difference in our athleticism. I mean, maybe a lot bigger than most people think. But you start thinking about the guys that are doing what they're doing at a high level for as long as they do, even in their mid-late 30s and early 40s. It's so impressive just how unbelievable that 1% of those athletes are.
Right, because you're right. It is even a small percentage of the small percentage that are already pro athletes who are able to do well past 35. In general, that's the back end of the career. It's only the very, very cream of the crop that maintain relevance past that, because we've seen guys that you talked about in baseball, those guaranteed contracts that go on and people get a 10-year contract at the age of 28, 29, 30. Most of the time, the bottom 3 years of that contract look pretty bad. Albert Pujols was one of those guys that obvious Hall of Famer, still was able to produce at times as he got older, but he looked like, I feel sometimes like when he'd try to run the bases, it like looked like it hurt.
Well, and I think
so it catches up with everybody. Some people are just so good that they can push through it.
Well, and I think a lot of that is, and you mentioned it, you started doing it, and I've not done a very good job with my walking 9 holes a week, and hopefully I can start getting that back up going again. But you start understanding how important it is that, from flexibility and all those things that you do need later on in life, that you got to be doing stuff to help that cause. And I don't think we do enough of that. And then we're shocked that, it's funny. I was playing the other day, and it was, Jamie and I, and there was a ball that I went to go get that my mind said, there's no way I'm going to get that. I'm going to, keep it from going out of bounds. And my body said, yeah, we're not making it. Well, it went out of bounds.
Yeah. Well, and that obviously you're used to being able to do those things, but I was thinking about like the shooting the baskets, like throwing batting practice, playing catch with the old like ball and glove, things that you used to do all the time. You're just not in the same shape that you were. And even if you're in decent shape, there's specific exercises, specific muscle movements that you use doing certain things that you just don't usually use that. And then it seems to just catch up with you more than it used to. And that's one of those things, like I said, I always thought was an exaggeration. I always thought was old guys would say things like that, and I thought, oh, you're being dramatic. It's not that bad, but now I've realized, like, no, it is that bad. You do normal things And then the next day you're like, I'm really sore. Like, I don't understand this. And it just catches up with you.
Or
So,
like the first time you hear your knees crack when you squat, you're like, how are they still together?
Yes.
Yes, 100%.
So I guess the thing that you need to know out there is that if you're in the same position as me or you've been there, first of all, I apologize for thinking you were being dramatic. You weren't as dramatic as I thought you were. And secondly, if you're in that early 30s, pushing mid 30s, just get ready. It's coming. And it time waits for no man, as they say. And you be prepared to make the old man noise.
Because it will happen, and you'll there's a lot of things that come with it. So be sure you're exercising, doing those things, eating right, all that. But one of the things that you can do tonight, go check out the Flying Bison. They'll be in town at 7:15. Congratulations to all the classes of 2024 graduating. Maybe you already have or be graduating tonight or this weekend. We appreciate Chris Randolph. Don't forget, check out all those things at VIPSportsGetaway.com, PotosiLive.com, where you can get tickets. A lot of stuff going on. Don't forget, next week, June is going to be here right before we know it. Everybody, have a great weekend. See you next week.
KLGD Stanford, Abilene, 106.9 FM, where real country music lives.
You guys are the greatest.